What's up, guys? Buckle up your seat belts and put your chastity belts on your wallets, because we're gonna have a very exciting weekend. We're gonna have the event that I have been waiting on a lot for a while, that many people have been waiting on, even though people have been pulling charts anyway. But let's take a look at an announcement that we just got in the CC chat from the community managers. Hey y'all, this Friday, March 29th, we're planning to launch two events simultaneously. I butchered that word. Anyway, we're planning to launch double event to summon epic, legendary and mythical champions from Primal shards. Good stuff, because I have been holding on to my primals for a while. I'm super anxious to pull them. If we get basically almost any pull is gonna be account changing to me, and some of the best champions in the game would be found from primals, and there isn't too many primal champions, so if you just happen to get a legendary, there's a very high chance that it's gonna be game changing champion and maybe the best one on your entire account. Also, we're planning to launch progressive chance event, giving you at least 15x chance to summon champions of your choice from a selected pool. And the pool, I would have been shocked if the pool was very good, but this pool doesn't really excite me too much. Let's quickly take a look at it. So we got Theodore, Baddel, Calvalax, Xavia, Supreme Gale and Venus. So we got different poison champions. They're all pretty good for PvE, to be fair. You could use all of them. I have all of the non-void ones except Theodore. I don't think I have Theodore. Of course, Theodore is very good, and some of the other ones are too, but they are very niche things and not for PvP, and mostly for some PvEG stuff. I already actually do have a double Calvalax, and that was relevant when we had the old dungeons, but not with the hard dungeons. But anyway, I don't care about any of those champions. I don't think I'm not gonna put any of them in the 15x counter. I feel like more often than not I just don't choose any champion, and I rather not increase my chances to get a bad one, so that maybe I have a slightly less mitigated chance to get a good champion. Actually, this 15x event would be a lot more preferable. I would be very happy to pull the primals during 15x Wukong, but the big jackpot, the prize at the end of the rainbow, is not gonna be those normal legendary champions, unless you just happen to pull like RNG Jesus is having a nice day and he's gonna give you Harima from primals. But basically you don't care about the normal champions. By the way, 31 primals, that's a lot. I have been saving them for a long time, and I do my daily live arena and I get some of them there. But yeah, you don't care about the normal champions, you care about the primal ones. There's so few of them, all of them are pretty much good. Even Androck, I think he got recently buffed. Even he's one of the less good ones, and he's a top tier nuker. Super terrifying in live arena if you have to deal constantly with his enfeeble. Is it on the other form? If you have to constantly deal with the enfeeble debuff and the other stuff that he does, he's pretty good. He still deals damage and can kill you, but he's one of the worst ones, and he's really good. We're gonna do a quick review about all of the mythical champions, might as well. Star Sage Galar, one of the best champions in the game. I would say probably would be top 3 primal champion. Could be number 1, it's so situational, kind of depends what you already have. But it is one of the best champions in classic arena defense, and especially now with White King Narses, the meta kind of shifted a little bit and people changed up their classic arena defense teams using more lockout and less the traditional Ukraine duo Siphi and UDK. You're still using Ukraine duo generally and UDK, or at least either one of those. We do see a little bit more players not using Ukraine duo and using Mytical Nuker with supports and UDK, or then they use the Ukraine duo and UDK without Siphi. But Galatir is an insane champion. And he does the thing that all of the primals do well, that fits in the classic arena meta and makes the most out of it. You can't basically lock him out. Even if you do lock him out, he can still change his form, and the skills on his second form are not gonna be locked out, and he can instantly block you out himself. He does buff strip and then block active skills debuff, so not the same lockout like Yumeka and Warlord. It's debuff, it can proc polymorph, but it will buff strip and block you, and he can't be locked out, so it's very risky to face in defense, and people generally avoid hitting him. If you were to pull him, you would do super well, and he still has revive and wail, and basically is a super improved version of Duchess. Very good base stats, does have good revive and wails, but lots of CC and debuffs, and basically immune to lockout and has his own lockout and a stun, and both of them are AoE. Incredible champion, good as well for live arena, but especially in the classic arena defense. I hope to get him, he's one of the top 3 champions that I want to get. Let's go quickly through them, let's not talk about all of them too much. Siegfried, recently buffed, basically hardest hitting champion in the game. The A2 does, not A2, A3 does insane damage. It's an improved version of the Wukong A2. But he also does have other stuff, like his passive, he gets block damage when he's about to get killed, and also ignores the fatal blow, meaning that he's kind of safe to use in defense or go second teams, and in turn he can one-shot the enemy team. One thing that kind of makes him a bit different than other Primal Champions is that he basically isn't immune to lockout, which is kind of the trademark of other Primals, but he can change his form willingly, only if he's the last living champion. So in that sense, if you don't go first, he is susceptible to lockout, but basically he's hardest hitting nuker in the game and one of the best champions for both live arena and classic arena. One of the best champions for both live arena and classic arena, and we kind of have a team here that all of these are insanely good. He even is a nuker that has AoE revive on the second form, but like I said, it's kind of hard to get into the second form, and the first form has his main damage skill, so you usually don't want to get it anyway. I mean the second form, not the champion would be good. Okay, another great champion, nuker, insane damage, places block damage on the entire team and counter attack and so on. One of the best nukers for live arena, I would want to get him as well. You're not gonna be sad if you get this champion. He has super very strong multipliers and damage, but yeah, let's not... I'll talk about all of the mythicals, so I'm not gonna get hung up on one of them. This is one of the least, it's a new one and not something that I have ever faced in PvP. I think he has some utility, but I'm not gonna speak up on him because I haven't seen people use him. I did go through his kit, and I guess they did do the change that burns are gonna be a bit better against Stone Skin, like you can actually use them against it, and they buffed the mastery, the blessing for burns. I don't think this is the most relevant champion. Yeah, this is not on top of my list, but it's a new one and maybe I missed something. Maybe there's actually some interesting use for him. will ignore 15% of target's defense if this champion's HP or targets is equal to 50% or greater than... If this champion's HP... Okay, that's a complicated kit, but he does have ignore defense. Never seen anybody use him, I'm not gonna speak up on this guy. I guess I could go through his kit, but we're not gonna do that on this video. My point was just to hype it up, that there's very low chance to get anything bad. Lasarus, one of the best nukers, not gonna go through all of his kits, but he does block buffs, debuff, and revive while locking out the enemy and ignoring shields and so on. Insane champion, insane damage. Very good utility for a nuker. What else do we have left? Mesomel is probably one of the worst ones, but it's a very good one still. You have block revive, you do ignore block damage, it can kind of counter both Rotos and Helicat, some champions that I use, but it's not a tanky one and probably pales in comparison to the other nukers that we just talked about. Then Geral, again not as good survivability, but the damage on him is insane, and even the passive is kind of annoying that if you hit him you decrease the duration of all buffs, but he has a chance to with his passive attack every time your allies attack, and then he can do multiple attacks on his A1, and sometimes he just randomly one-shots your team when it's not even his turn. He has insane damage, but you kind of need some support to enable him, but he would also pair insanely well with the new Rathalos or newly named Slayer set, and that will be some of the highest damage that you can get in the game. I know that he's so strong because of that my clan leader was even using him in Hydra clan boss and doing some insane damage with Geral, because he does have the AoE A1 that has a chance to repeat. Basically the best champion in the game to use Slayer set. Okay, you can't get this one, I don't think. Undead doesn't have one. Okay, this is probably maybe the least useful Hydra champion. Another burn one, but I think unlike the other two burn champions that we took a look before, he's mostly a PvE champion and not for PvP, so who cares about Aidos? I didn't even recall his name, that's how much I care about him. He's not relevant, I hope you don't get him, I hope I don't get him, but he's probably the worst one that you can get out of the Primals. GXA May, probably the best champion in the game, not even maybe, probably the best champion in the entire game. First of all, she's a lockout champion that also has buff strip and resets your own cooldowns, so she does everything at once. It's a Madame series, it's a Kaimar, and it's a Warlord, and then she also scares from resistance, so you can build your own lockout champion in resistance instead of going full on accuracy, and it's a primal, so you can change the form even if you get locked out, and then you can reset the cooldown of your team. So basically she's the best champion to deal with enemy lockout teams, and probably the best champion in classic arena defense as well. So you want to get this one, I hope I get it, I hope you get it, but okay, so Frolly, he's definitely one of the least useful ones to get, but even he still hits very hard, and he has kind of interesting passive on the second form that reflects 80% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker. This basically kills anybody that attacks him, though people don't usually use this form and they stay in the other form for damage, but he's one of the worst primals that you can get, and he would still be one of my best nukers if I were to get him. He does hit hard, but there is other champions with higher damage and utility and more tankiness, so you don't want to get him, but even if you were to get him, he's still almost better than pretty much anything that you can pull with normal shards. Mikke, I mean, she's a fusion, she's a very good champion, but you probably don't want to get Mikke, but one of the best champions in the game, especially for live arena. Not really classic arena, nobody really uses her there, but the fact that she reduces enemy nuker's turn meter every time she takes a turn with her passive, and also has AoE stun, is very oppressive combination. And if enemy has a speed team with Siphi and her and goes first, the chances are that you're not gonna get any turn ever with your nuker unless you proc polymorph or something. But I don't know if you even want to really empower her. She does get the ignore resistance on the books like many of the primals do, so I wouldn't really even want to get multiple copies and empower. Just one is enough, but doing the fusion might be hard, so in that case it's still a good champion, even if you probably don't want to get her. And she does do the ally attack with attack buff and crit damage buff, and has the A1 in the first form that Shadowkin will ally attack every time you use it. This makes her very good even on bosses, including Hydra, and many people do use her in super strong Hydra teams. And then the last champion, we got Arbis, another really good champion for live arena. Even classic arena defense though, she isn't the most popular one, but basically on her first form she does a revive on death, and with her passive you have a chance to get petrified if you attack anybody with the revive on death buff. This is super annoying, super RNG, it can ruin your day and instantly win the fight. But then in the second form, she's kind of like improved version of UDK, that she has a skill that places heal on everybody, then a taunt on her, meaning that you can only attack her, and then a stone skin buff on her. So if you have a single target nuker, you can't do anything after she does this skill. Very annoying, very strong, very good for live arena and even classic arena. And on top of that, she does have a speed aura for all battles, which is very good. But that's all of the Primal Champions. Pretty much there was like one completely irrelevant champion for PvP, and then couple ones that are worse than others but better than almost everybody else in the game, and the rest of the primals are the best champions in the game. So this is an event that you don't want to miss out. We don't have the 2x primal shard summoning very often. This is only the second time. Originally they kind of sneaked it a little bit that when people asked are they gonna do 2x primal shard events, their answer was not no or yes. Their answer was that we don't have any plans to do it at this moment, which was basically, you know, a lie. That's basically them saying that we will do them but not anytime soon, but they didn't want to say it so that people pull primals and whatever. Let's be honest, I mean, I don't think they are gonna dispute that, or they can get too mad if I'm honest about that. But we do have the 2x primals now. It's probably not gonna happen very often. They haven't really given a timeline that it's gonna happen every other month or whatever. So this is your best chance to get it. You can't get that many primals without buying them. I pretty much have gotten the maximum amount of primals that you can get doing live arena and basically clearing all of the content in the game. I got 31, I think I have maybe pulled 20 primals so far or something like that. I'm not gonna be at pity, probably not even gonna be at pity by the end of this year. So I don't want to pull any more outside of 2x, and this is your chance to make it big and make your account a lot stronger. This video is basically full of my own copium and me hoping that I get lucky and everything changes after Friday when the Fire Nation attacks. We will see about it. I hope you're hyped. I'm super hyped. I hope you don't pull the Hive Lord or whatever it's called and you get a legendary champion, or I mean not legendary but primal one. If that happens, then basically no matter what, you're good. Though there is some that are better than others, but basically everything is really good. Anyway, that's it. Good luck. See ya.